Lyle finds his mother by Bernard Weber. Lyle finds his mother. The world was changing, but changes were taking place. Lyle the Crocodile scarcely noticed it was time for the same wonderful world he loved. Lyle's world was a bird, and Lolita has a favorite neighbor. It was children, playing with children until the dark. Most of all, Lyle's world was the house on the East 8th Street. Happy days and nights spent close to the family he loved, the Primms. But Lyle was happy in his world. There was someone living across the town who did not share his pleasure. That someone, Hector P. Valenti, staged the screen. Sadly, Signor Valenti had fallen upon dark and hungry days. His cupboard was bare. There was not a crumb in sight. Even the mice, who for so long had shared his humble life, packed up and moved one morning. Because he could not bear the sight of his emptiness, Hector stored his hat in the refrigerator, his hat, and a lonely jar of mustard. One day, he was so overcome with hunger, Hector began to imagine how delicious indeed his hat might taste, cooked in tenderness, seasoned lightly in mustard. To keep his mind off his troubles, so he took to the streets, only to remind him again and again of his empty stomach. Even the pigeons in the park were enjoying the exotic food, mixing in health and outrageous cheer. Oh, to be a pigeon, sighed Hector, and never thought one day he'd want. It was in the park that Hector came upon Lyle and Primms. The sight of Lyle brought instant memories of happy days gone by, when they were a team performing his stage he wanted to rush to Lyle, throwing his arms around his old friend, but ashamed of his ragged appearance held him back. Lyle was everywhere in the dark of the days, riding round and round the carousel, dancing about a huge red balloon, and sailing to a toy boat with Josh. Whenever Lyle went, Hector followed in a safe distance, enjoying every minute. With the past Primms decided it was time to leave the park, glide waved goodbye to everyone. If only I had to perform on stage with Lyle again, thought Hector. My days of need would probably be gone forever, but the reason could possibly make mildly Primms. On his way home, Hector hit upon a sign. It read, "Remember Mother's Day, Mother's Day." In a wink, he thought of a scheme to lure away from the Primms, but I could not do it. Not to lie, I want to rather starve. Suddenly, freshest wave of hunger swept over him. I'll do it, he decided. Next day, a letter from Lyle arrived at the house of East 88th Street. Dear Lyle, I would like to meet your dear, sweet mother. In a small matter of interest to you, come immediately. To address the little back was letter. It was signed, cordially, Hector P. Valentine. Star stage and screen. P.S. Hector had it come back a snack. Come immediately indeed, Miss Prime. Hector up to the trickles again, and with a direct trick, I don't allow to leave. Or Lyle will say right here where he belongs. But Lyle gave it a thought. He gave lots of thought. In fact, he was astounded as he never thought before. I didn't know I had a mother, he whispered to himself. I must have had a mother. I'm sure it proves I had a mother. It wasn't long before Lyle found himself pictured with his mother. It was short and small, he decided. He was very kind, Miss Prime. He was pretty too, Miss Prime. In fact, more pictured her. He remarked at his mother, looked at Miss Prime. He began to imagine the sound of his mother's voice. It was Miss Prime. A little Lyle again. His mother was for saying things like, "Are you hungry, Kyle? Here, have a graham cracker, dear. Have two, as a matter of fact. They are so delicious." But she would be strict. His mother would do a hat and sure you hung up a doll. Careful crossing streets. Mother would have to talk to strangers and behave. In school, how are you, Lyle? My, aren't you clever? She would declaim, but she hand-walked, showed off the tricks of his mother. It was long before Lyle was deep into longing with his mother. The Primms guessed that it was going through Lyle's mind, and they tried desperately to distract him. Miss Prime, who had been very active in politics, took Lyle along with him to campaign headquarters, where he kept busy folding and stuffing letters to envelopes. Miss Prime reduced Lyle to pleasures of indoor gardening. Tries to see permission his teacher to bring Kyle to visit to school. This is Lyle, who lives at the house. He is my best friend. Josh announced to the class his friend too. Many of his children came out. The teacher signed Lyle to see up front where everyone could see him. Now shows Lyle with the leaning of school today. Later that morning, Lyle has gay paper and Coin is drawing. At lunch, everyone wanted to sit near Lyle. Teachers came over to introduce themselves. Oh, Lyle, I have heard so much about you, and I'm delighted to meet you at last. You won't please come visit my class too? Lyle shook his head eagerly. He was so happy to be back again. Although it was just a bit sleepy during math, Lyle had a marvelous visit at school. It seemed finally he had managed to forget all about Hector and his letter. But it was remind him again later days when he happened to see his mother loving hand graham cracker. Now, not even Lolita could coax him with a smile from Lyle. Not could Bird, nor could the Primms, even they tried desperately in the end. With a deep sorrow in his hearts, he made a difficult decision. They gave Lyle their blessing to go off in search of his mother. On the morning he was to leave, Primms packed a gift basket for Lyle to take his mother, and in fact, they did not find her. They packed Turkish caviar, alpha dumplings, dandelion greens, yogurt, biscuits, rose petal jelly, branded peaches after dinner mitts. As a special gift, Primms closed a locket containing Lyle's pictures. Primms made and they took Hector's address and they cried their farewells. Although now, Lyle climbed the 6 flights of stairs that Hector would. Lyle, how happy am I to see you, Hector greeted him, and you brought a gift. Hardly thought the door was when Hector hooped down gift basket and began to devour its contents. This is delicious, he exclaimed between mouthfuls of dumplings. I must borrow the recipe. Lyle showed Hector a letter about his mother. And yes, it's such a distance, and how your mother, traveling to be costly. I fear, however, I would want her plan. I'll earn her way by performing together again, if you know what I mean. Lyle, exactly what Hector meant. Once again, Lyle was on stage with Hector, managing once again sounds of pauses joined the Hector's ears. Now Hector was dressing expensively, eating handsomely, and counting his money, loving every night Hector counting his money. Every night Lyle showed him the letter. Oh, that again, Hector would say, paying and scant attention. One night I refused to go on stage, Hector pleaded. On stagehand's show, the theater manager cried. Very well, said Hector. I will take you to your mother, but you must perform tonight. Show him out into the stage. At last they began the long journey to find him on his mother. They traveled for days, by plane, by train, and by boat, until they reached the land of Crocodile. They all looked at the crocodile side and the ripple of the current. What do you like that? All the way from east of the street, she's not home. Well, perhaps she's out for the day. You know how it is, Lyle. She probably kept herself busy. No doubt she has things to do, places to go. We'll just come back another time. We'll telephone first. How's that? I don't suppose you can telephone, can we, Hector? All right, says Hector. If it'll make you happy, we'll call out her name. Lyle's mother. Hector's singing voice screamed, you have a visitor. Your son Lyle is here, mother dear. Suddenly, the surface of water broke and her crocodile appeared and disappeared. Did you see her? Hector cried out. Same nose, same mouth, same expression on her eyes. Lyle, your mother. You saw her mother. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't it marvelous? Did you see your lovely? Well, without you can go. We had a nice little visit. Goodbye, mother dear. Lyle looked at him, growing suspicion. Well, you could see your mother. Who is to say she wasn't your mother? Prove it. She wasn't your mother. She just didn't recognize you. You can blame her for that, can't you? I mean, well, what did you expect? A stupid crocodile, he blurted out. Hector wanted to take back his words immediately. Oh, I'm sorry, really, but it slipped out what I could about crocodiles. I mean, I think highly of crocodiles. I adore crocodiles because they're my best, dearest friends. Oh, I would never want to say anything to hurt you, not even I would pull out the tongue first. But before Hector had a chance to pull his tongue, the water began to turn. It heard crocodile pile once more. Lyle raced towards the river. Don't. You mustn't. It's dangerous. Hector tried out Lyle's plunge into the water. Shut his eyes. He opened them slowly, surprised, but cockerel pops of each other, and that was what more appeared, joined and delighted to see each other. After a while, the two went swimming together. They spent an entire afternoon together swimming, diving, and splashing about. Hector was so tired waiting for Lyle to return, he fell asleep. When he awakened, Lyle was standing over him. She's really her mother. Lyle's nose toward the water. Out came another crocodile, smiling glorious at the sun, began to perform all manner of fancy somersaults, sand springs, swirls. How could look amazing. That's your mother, all right, said Hector. Several days later, the doorbell rang at the house at the street. Surprise, surprise, stood Lyle, Hector, and very special guest, Lyle's mother. Bring squawk. Gloria rushed in excited. Everyone shouted for joy. Oh, Lyle, we missed you so much. We found your mother. Hello, Mother, Miss Prime. That night, the dinner party to celebrate Lyle's mother, who loved her lovely locket, proudly showed Lyle's pictures to everyone. If ever you should be seeking a career on stage, Hector whispered to her, well, perhaps I can be helpful. For Lyle, his word was complete now. He was back to the Primms, and he found her mother. He was quiet as had pictured her, but then a mother is still a mother.